for a couple of weeks. So we are, I'm talking with Sally June of SJ's Foods today, talking about her kimchi. So really excited to talk with her. So give it just a minute here for her to come on. We're talking to Sally June, SJ's Kimchi. Beautiful packaging, which we'll talk about too. But she has had quite a journey, and I'm really excited to talk with her today. I'm Sari Kimbell. I am the creator of Food Business Success, and I help package food producers just like you start your business, launch it from just an idea, or grow it from that baby product and get it onto store shelves and on online stores. Really grow that brand into a profitable food business. All right, so that's what I do, and really excited to talk to Sally June. Here we go.
Hi, Sari.
There she is. Yay, hi. Okay, I gotta adjust. I'm in a new spot. You look great. You're perfect.
Thank you.
I was saying that it's really cold today in Colorado, and I'm very jealous because you're in Hawaii.
No, I think Montana got snow in the last few days too.
Yeah. So like you're gonna go surfing later and I'm just gonna curl up on the couch. Anyway, well, introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what your business is.
My name is Sally June, and I make SJ's Kimchi, and it's naturally fermented. I started on Big Island 5 years ago and moved to Oahu recently. Sari helped me through the rebranding process, going from glass jars into plastic pouches and a new logo. And yeah, that's what I make and where I'm at.
Yeah. Oh, Tiffany says it's really good. And it is. I finally got mine. Finally got some. So I got to try it.
Did you like it?
I did. It's delicious.
I thought with your egg. That's one of the main ways.
Yeah. I haven't tried them all yet, but yes, very excited. They're so pretty. I don't want to open.
I'm excited for the new packaging for the viewing window.
Yeah.
Is my most exciting thing to have it on the front.
Yeah. Well, oh my gosh. So we started talking last summer, I think, and then started working together about this time, probably last year.
Yep.
So
I think October, because I was in Montana.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, you when like some of these podcasts I record about like doing hard things and getting out of your comfort zone, but also celebrating your wins. That's a new one coming up. It's like, I think about you all the time. Like you're the person I'm talking to because this has not been an easy road for you.
So it's been a big learning process from the beginning till today.
Yeah. So you started, but I guess what I want to say about that is just like, you keep going. You're like the Energizer Bunny, and I love that about you. And you just keep going, and you're like, I have a hard why. I am not giving up. I will figure this out. And you keep doing it. And you're in a ton of new stores now in Hawaii. You were like,
yep,
go ahead.
I just delivered to one of my new stores today, and it's a good example because I had no idea where to go. I was trying to get to the back of the store, and I was going this way and that way, and it just reminded me, like, once I do this once, then I'll know where to deliver next time. It's going to be okay. But it's a good example of no matter what, just to keep figuring it out. Huh?
I know. I remember we were talking, so we get on Zoom calls kind of regularly, and I think as much as like we get accomplished, I think it's good for you to just be like, oh my gosh, like here's what's happening, and just have like somebody to listen and cheer you on, and like, it's all normal.
I feel like you become so as much of a like a friend even throughout this all. It started out more business, but now I don't know what I'm thankful that I have you on my side.
Thank you. It's been amazing to be on this journey with you, and I'm grateful that you let me come along for the ride because you're amazing to watch. But I mean, I remember us talking about, you're like, I don't know how to approach these stores when you moved to the new island, and you were really worried. And I was like, but look at how many stores you're already in. Like, you've already
saw, you've already learned, and you were like, oh yeah, that's right, I have done that. I just need to like move it to a new island.
Yep, that's what my friend Anthony told me once. I'm like, what do I see? He's like, Sally, you've been making this stuff for years now. I don't know why you get so concerned every
Yeah.
time. But my good friend John had a malasada cart here on Oahu for 12 years. And he said every time he made a batch, he would want to taste it and like make sure that it was good and compare it to other malasadas. And he did it for 12 years. And he said every time he still was a little bit concerned about how it was going to taste and if he should change his recipe.
Yeah.
It must be pretty common
Yeah.
for.
Well, you are very passionate about your product, which I love that. So you told me you were delivering. You finally got in touch with the Whole Foods buyer, or like heard back. You've delivered product there. You've been doing Foodlands, which is the big store there. We're getting very close to turning on your e-commerce, which will be great.
I'm excited about that too.
Shipping from Hawaii is a little more challenging, especially because we're a refrigerated product, and the mail has not been cooperating very well.
No, I just remembered that the first box I sent, I don't know where it ended up in Colorado, but you never
I
received
never
it.
got it.
I hope someone who ate it or was curious about it got it.
I know. It's like this missing kimchi box somewhere in Colorado. But yeah, we're gonna do that really soon. Are you still doing some farmers markets? Is Crystal Lynn still helping?
There's not many open here, but I'm on two different online markets, so it's like an online farmers market somewhat.
Okay,
so,
that's right. And that's going really well. Yeah.
Yeah, so far so good. And there's one other one, Oahu Fresh, that I'm waiting for a response, and hopefully, actually three. Yeah, three now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And then waiting for a response to one.
So let's just go way back. So you started this how many years ago, doing Now the Glass as a business?
2015.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you were in glass jars, and you did a classic, no problem, but you did a classic move of just like, I just got it out there and started selling it. And then when we started working together, you're like, oh, whoops, I had no idea.
Yeah, well, the first case I ever delivered, the labels were slipping off because they weren't waterproof. So that was and then the very first hiccup, and then the second one I ordered labels that were too big for the jars, so I had to cut the top and the bottom off each individual label, like 300 of them, and it looked like I was selling a jar of SJ's because my logo was huge and the word kimchi was super tiny. Like, it's been a learning experience from the very beginning.
I know, you just keep going. And where do you think you get it? Where do you get your resilience from?
Both my grandmas cooked, and my dad's mother, my grandma June, they raised their family on a ranch, and they would have people come stay at their ranch, and she would cook for all of them. And she wasn't necessarily she could cook a lot of food in a short amount of time. And I think she really had a lot of hustle. They didn't have electricity, so she had to carry 5-gallon buckets of water. Wow. They made their own butter. She sewed their clothing. I think it's from my grandma. Yeah. I really think it must be in my blood somewhere, because she didn't necessarily know what she was doing. She was 16 when she got married to my grandfather, and she just winged it and was able to figure it out all on her own. She went from living in Oakland, California, to a ranch in the middle, 40 miles from the nearest store, not even the nearest town from the nearest store. So, and she figured out how to survive and take care of her children, and not necessarily run a business, but in a sense it was a business because they had people come stay at the ranch. Yeah. So and then my other grandma had 6 children and was a stay-at-home mom, and I think it comes from my ancestors.
Yeah. So you've really taken that to heart. And so, I mean, you decided to go ahead and shut the business down and take a little breather, and you had some life things that you had to deal with. And then we started working on the rebrand, and I wish we had a jar of your old stuff we could look at, but it was we'll just say it was amateur, which you were, so
Yeah,
that's fine.
super. Yeah. I don't know if rudimentary is the word. I've used a few different ways to
Yeah.
describe it, but yeah,
Hey,
cavemanish
it
compared to my
worked.
new one.
It got the
Yeah.
product out there. It worked. And then we did a rebrand, refresh with one of my favorite designers, Christopher with Tenfold. So he did this whole logo change, and then it's hard. I hope you guys see it. Like each package has different designs in it that are kind of Hawaii, like
Yeah, waves. Wave was really
yeah, the
important.
waves. Yep. You're a surfer and like the ocean is super important to you. And then the back, we did a viewing window on the back here. And then we had our nice big nutrition facts panel. We added this made in Hawaii. That was really important to you. That Christopher had that. And then we have some nice text. And then, like you said, we're doing an up because you've already sold out. You've like, I mean, you just got those bags in April, I think, or May. And
Yeah.
we're like, oh my gosh, are we gonna?
Yeah, and that was a learning thing too. I wasn't keeping really close count of all them, and by the time I counted them, I was really low on certain ones.
Yeah.
But I have my fingers crossed that I can make it through.
We might have to wrap
Especially
in people's orders.
getting into new stores, some of the managers have asked me, well, what's the top sellers? And I've been kind of leaning away from the ones that I don't have a lot of pouches left of, even though it is good. So I think we'll make it.
Yeah, for sure. So we're putting the viewing window on the front. That was important to you that we move it. You're just getting feedback that people want to be able to see it. And then we're adding pictures of ingredients on the back. So I think it'll look really nice. And yeah, we actually got more room in some ways since we put the viewing window on the front. So
I like the images a lot because I think, especially in Hawaii, there's so many different kind of people that there may be people who don't read English necessarily, but if you can see what it is.
Oh, that's really smart. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hawaii, we've learned, is a whole different, you guys go on your own time and
Mm-hmm.
that's a
Yeah,
different.
just even from one side of the island to the other, I found out because of the fermenting room temperature. I did it for 2 years without anyone questioning me. Then I moved to the other side of the island, and they were like, "Wait a second, you don't refrigerate this when you make it?" I'm like, "No, like you can't. Like, wait a second, stop! You can't do that."
Oh my God.
And the health department just on the other side of the island didn't really catch that. I don't know if "catch" that's the right word.
Yeah, that wasn't in their purview. Yeah, it's so interesting. Yeah. And yeah, so we did all of that. Then a pandemic hit, and you have 2 kids, and you're trying to figure out all of that. And you were doing some catering, right? And obviously that all dried up. So you just keep moving forward. What's your hard why? Like, what's your big reason? Why everybody? You should have quit by now, Sally June. Let's just face it.
I would say the main one is because it feels really good. I like going into the stores and seeing my product on the shelves. It makes me really proud of myself. And I want to show my kids that no matter what happens, not to give up. Because I've had many reasons to. And I think that's a big part, my kids wanting to, give something better to them. And it's not necessarily money. I know, I'm not doing it for fun. And I know I'd like, to make enough money to be more comfortable.
Yeah.
But just, it's really cool to see my stuff in the store. I guess that's when I really think about it. And things for me, sometimes I don't necessarily even have a plan, but once I get going, then I don't want to stop.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. I know, you keep going, you're like, oh, now I'm going to move, and now I got to get a new kitchen, and now I got to come up with that money. But then you were able to get some grant money, which was great, through the state. And oh my gosh, you have been on a journey. I mean,
yeah,
yeah. When things get hard for me, I'm like, yeah, but Sally June's still going. So
yeah, there's been moments where like, what the heck am I thinking? It'd be easier, but
get a real job.
And I think that's it too. I get bored with real jobs. Like I can do it for a while, or I will learn a menu, or I'll, get comfortable in a place, and then I just get bored. And with this, here's one too. I think I have the mindset when I work for someone else, I'm making their business more successful, or making their lives better, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I only find myself working maybe 75% of what I have in me. And when I do it for myself, I'm doing it 100%, and not even always 100, but a lot, I work a lot harder when it's making myself and my kids' lives better, not someone else's. And it is kind of maybe a little bit selfish, but that's really honest.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, when you're doing it for someone, for yourself, it's like you're the only one that's going to show up for you and make it happen. And
right.
So yeah, you've definitely
I think that's a really big part of it. Yeah, final answer. It's because I want to make my, but then when, I got a little caught up in my words.
No, I love it. And then you, let's see, so you launched, we got you new bags, we got you new product, we worked on your numbers to make sure we did a price increase because it's Hawaii, and we want to be sure you actually could be profitable with this, and got you all set up with wholesale sheets and a plan. And and then you make your own product. So what?
Yep, I'm pretty much still, well, now I'm doing everything on Oahu, and my friend Crystal Lynn is helping on the Big Island. I don't know where I'm going with this one either. I pretty much still do everything from start to finish, from making it to delivering it up until this point.
Yeah. And you got a good partner with Crystal Lynn. She's really been helpful to you.
Oh my goodness, super helpful.
Especially because you started on the Big Island, and that's where a lot of your accounts were, and then you moved, and so she's been able to keep that whole thing going. So you're not having to fly back and forth.
No, I did that at first for a while.
That was making me
busy. Yeah, that was interesting too. I would have a cooler which could fit comfortably, 80 to 100 pouches, but it can only be 50 pounds. So then I would, have. At one point, I was putting it into a surfboard bag, like half the pouches into there, and getting to Honolulu. And I had this man be like, "Did you just come from Korea?" And it was because one pouch had opened, and it was actually as embarrassing as it was actually a really good compliment because of the smell.
Yeah.
And when I get a Korean person compliment my kimchi, it's the very best compliment I can get because it's Korean.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's been very interesting, the back and forth. But now she's really getting her system set up, and we both have, at least 50 to 100 of each pouches on hand. Nice. Whereas before, every time I got an order from it, it was a freak out. Yeah. When I very first started back up again. That's another thing I think a lot of entrepreneurs must do, is just kind of learn as we go.
Yeah.
Not really necessarily know what's going on in the beginning. You just have to learn as you're doing it. And that's, it's kind of exciting. I think the thrill of it too. I'm somewhat of an adrenaline junkie with big waves and things like that. And I think that comes along with working for yourself.
Yeah.
Because you are the only one that can really figure it out.
Yep. And when you get those big accounts, you get that next door. Yeah. You get that virtual market that placed that huge order. You're like, that's on me, right? You did that. Yeah.
And just this week, this week I called a few Foodlands to introduce myself, because initially I got into one Foodland here in hopes to get into more. And the produce manager, or the head of produce in the corporate office, said if it sells well at this brand new store, then I'll open it up to the other ones. And he did. And the last few times I've called, they knew who I was. It's like, oh, we know you're the new kimchi. Bring some in. And yesterday I went to a store, and 3 or 4 of the workers all tried it and really liked it. And I like now that they know who I am. And 2 people actually approached me in the last couple of months asking for my product instead of me, reaching out to them. And it's only happened a few times, but that feels really good too.
Yeah. And that's such a good idea to get the employees involved, because they're your best ambassadors, especially now that you can't do demos and anything like that. So
yeah,
great. Yeah. You work all the angles. You are not afraid to, I know sometimes you are afraid, but once you're out there, you will ask people for help. You'll share.
When I have a list of things, when I have a list of stores to call, it's like I have to get warmed up. And the first 2, I kind of get caught up on my words and things like that. And then once I get a rhythm, it's not so hard. I just always feel silly about the first few stores I call, because I'm like, wait a second, I've been as smooth as I've gotten into these last few.
Well, always have like more than two, right? That way you're like, I just got to get through the first two and then the rest are easy.
Or maybe I should start doing a fake call with one of my kids. Like they
There
should
you
like
go.
maybe I should do a warm. I think I should do a warm up calls from now on. That
There you
might be a
go.
good idea.
Just call and leave me a message and do your warm up call. It's on my voicemail.
But it's fun. It really is. It makes me wonder when I very first started, I worked at a health food store. And I remember there's two girls that I worked with, and we all talked about wanting to sell our products other places. And I always wonder like why I did it and why they still work at the health food store. You know, and I know it's because it's scary and it's a big risk. I think you have to be able to take big risks to be able to do this, and it's no judgment whatsoever because they get a consistent paycheck. They know what they're going to get every month. They know what they have to do every day when they go to work, and I have no idea what's going to happen on a daily basis with this at this point. So I think that part of it too. I think only certain people could probably do it. That's for sure.
It definitely takes a pretty special skill it's a unique quality in person. I mean, I never thought I'd be an entrepreneur, and it's the hardest thing I've ever done.
Me either. I didn't even know what kimchi was. I grew up in Montana, and there's not a lot of, now there's more, but when I was a little kid, 30 years ago, there wasn't a lot of Asian food options. So I didn't even know what kimchi was. I was 20 years old the first time I even probably heard the word. I don't even know the first time I tasted it, but to imagine that's what I would end up doing, it kind of baffles me sometimes.
Do you still eat kimchi? I mean, I know sometimes you're like, I see one more head of cabbage.
No, right now I'm into it again. It kind of goes through phases, but realizing how healthy it is, it's come up with the whole COVID thing quite a bit too about your immune system. Like it's actually a really super healthy food for your immune system and probiotics and things like that. Cabbage actually has more vitamin C than oranges, than citrus. And I didn't realize that until maybe 10 years ago or something. So it's actually super, super healthy. So I have been eating more of my own. I've gone through stages where I was sick of it though.
Yeah, I'm sure you're like, if I see one more cabbage.
But I like it right now.
Yeah, and you've done a great job. I love like one of your core values is that you're trying to support other Hawaii farms and businesses. So you're going around and going to farms and trying to source a lot of your produce, right?
Yeah, where I get my daikon and cucumbers, they connected with domestic violence victims and immigrants. So it's called kunia. I don't know if you're supposed to do this type of stuff or whatever, but it's super awesome. And I get a good price, and they're selling their produce. And just yesterday, Chef Dean, I went to culinary school with him, and he's the executive chef for Kamehameha schools, the Hawaiian schools. And he was going to reach out to some people that he was going to reach out to some farmers for me too. So someday I'll have a farm that I get all my stuff from. Would be super cool. I always think, like, one day I'm going to have my own farm even.
At least the farm you're contracting with is like, grow all of my ingredients.
I mean, I don't want to grow. I don't want to grow. I just want to turn it into stuff.
But you also use like Maui sugar and Hawaiian sea salt. So you're really trying to, I love that. I think, I'm guessing people in Hawaii are probably really drawn to that too, right?
It's super important. I think the percentage is super high, like 80 or 90% of food in Hawaii is imported, but there's a year-round growing season here, so it doesn't make a lot of sense. And I think the more people that eat local stuff, less stuff will be shipped here, and it could potentially lower the cost of food and things like that. So local is super important. I went through most of my 20s eating mostly organic, but now I would choose local over organic. Although I still like organic food, but local I think is much more important.
I agree. Yeah. So what are some of the hardest things? I mean, I know numbers and business hasn't been your favorite part of all of this. Is that one of your hardest things you've had to do?
Absolutely. It's still hard. I'm not super good at math, although I know basic math, but it just doesn't compute for me sometimes when I'm trying to do that part of it. That's the most challenging. I'm confident in the product. I can be in a kitchen all day long. But the business aspect part of it. But I'm learning slowly but surely.
And I'm so proud of you for just now you're doing your cash flow once a week, and we're checking. So we're keeping up on our invoices, and it gets easier if you just do it every.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't even think any of it's that complicated. It's just a matter of sitting down and doing it, and and it's still a little bit complicated, but
Yeah.
I think that's what frustrates me. I like when I do something, I like to be good at whatever it is,
Right.
and it's a little bit closed-minded, but I like to cook because I'm good at cooking. I can clean because I know how to cook. Like there's certain things, but if I don't know how to do it, it's hard for me to get myself to learn it.
Yeah.
But I know I have to learn it, especially with my own business. Like you said, my instinct, I don't know where I got this little bit of sense of entitlement, or like I have the money to do something. I'm like, oh, I'll just pay someone. I'm like, well, how the heck am I going to pay someone when I'm struggling to pay for my regular life?
Yeah. Yeah,
But
we talked about that a couple times. And you're like, I just want to hire a bookkeeper. It's like,
I'm like, wait a second, how can I do that? But
and we talked about like, yes, yeah, you will eventually need to do that. But it's so good for you to understand this part. And I hope I'm helping to get you systems and, and we revisit and practice and work through where you get hung up. But yeah, you need to know your business and not just the fun side of making the product. But
yeah.
And of course you don't know how to do it. You've never done it before, right? There was a time when you didn't know how to cook either, and it was awkward. And
it makes me wish I would have paid more attention because I had business classes during culinary school, but back then I never really. I think most. Well, I don't know if most, but I thought about having my own restaurant at one point, but I don't think I ever thought of having my product in the store until I was putting my product in the store. It wasn't like a. So that's interesting to me too, because I think a lot of people probably think about it for a long time and plan what they're going to sell and what they're going to do. I basically just made a big batch of kimchi 2 or 3 times. Someone said you should sell that, and so I like, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, amazing. Most people would probably say you had no business hiring somebody like me and paying the money for that. What do you think the value has been? If I could just ask for a total solicitation here, like
huge, because I think I'd be saying like 10 out of 10, because if I wouldn't have, I'd probably be in the same stores that I got myself in. I was like at a plateau, I guess, for lack of better words. I got into as many stores as I knew how on my own, and I was just kind of stuck. I didn't know. I knew I wanted to go further, and I started calling distributors and things like that and investors, and they're like, you're a tiny, like what are you talking about? We distribute, companies that are much bigger. We invest in much bigger businesses. Mm-hmm. So you're getting me to where I can eventually get to that point. But super invaluable, I guess I would say, because if you look at my product then and look at it now, it's a completely different, like I'm at a completely different level.
Yeah.
So.
And now you're getting into all these stores and feeling more confident, and you're doing the business side of running a business, and we're making sure you're actually going to make money.
Yeah, because before I didn't. You taught me even to put my own time and energy, and I knew that logically that you had to pay yourself and count my work, but I never did. I knew I did the ingredients, of course, and the labels and those costs, but I never paid myself or put myself into that.
Yeah.
So I didn't really even know what was going on.
Yeah. Wow. And then, like I said, I have it'll be podcast number 10 will be coming out soon. It's all about celebrating your wins. And I just feel like we've had some big wins recently. And so
yeah, for sure.
I love that, like, you text me and you're like, I got this and I got this. And it's like, yay. And that we can cheer you on. So I love celebrating your wins with you. It's been so
Thank
fun.
you.
Yeah. And I just can't wait to see where this goes, and we're going to blow it up, and the next round of packaging is going to be even more dialed in, and you got some great systems and good help, and you just think about how far you've come from, like, in March, you didn't even have a product to sell.
No, and from July until, and sometimes I do get a little frustrated, and when I talk to you, I generally feel a lot better, definitely about my products, but about myself too, because it's a reminder, like, wait a second, I have made some good progress, and even as good as it's been, every once in a while I do feel a little frustrated, and after I talk to you, I feel less frustrated almost every time.
Yeah, it's so good to have somebody reminding you, like, remember that, like, in June.
Oh, goodness me.
I mean, even like 2 months ago, you know, and now now you've come so far, and the business is really starting. It's like the flywheel, you know, and I'm sure there's a good surfing metaphor that I don't know, but like you got to get the momentum going, you know, you got to do that. Like it's hard to get it started, right? And
Yeah,
then
and I'm still in that stage. I think you remind me sometimes. Like I can't be where I want to be in a year from now because it's only been a couple
yeah,
months. I get
yeah,
ahead of myself a little bit too much, and you have like brought me back, grounded me back down
yeah. We're
to
like,
a
we'll
reality,
do that
a
next.
voice of reason. Yeah, a voice of reason. That's the
Yeah,
best. That's a good way to
yeah,
put it.
I love it. Well, you should tell people where to find you. And yes, we're going to be turning on shipping soon, hopefully in the next few weeks here, so people can.
Should I say the stores or just my SJ's
Oh
Foods
yeah,
on
just like your social media and your website.
SJ's Foods on Instagram and Facebook,
Yep.
and then sjsfoods.com is my website.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, you guys should definitely go check out. You do some really great stuff on social media. I love that you're just like showing up and just you and people are cheering you on and want to see you succeed. And yeah, you're really the face.
I'm excited about my website too because there's so many people in my hometown, like friends on the mainland, that either have never had my product or even haven't tried kimchi before. So
Yeah.
they're anxious to be able to order it.
What do you think? Are they gonna be out? They're gonna be like, this is weird.
Ooh, it'll be interesting. It's somewhat of an acquired taste, and because of the way my process is, it's even more potent than some of the store brands. So
Yeah.
I guess it depends on their spice, whether they like spicy or not, or fermented foods. But
Yeah.
I think they'll like it.
Yeah. Just tell them it'll be really good to help them with their immunity, you know.
Yeah.
Their medicine.
Yeah, they're really good. That's a really good selling point right now because of everything that's going on, for sure.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for joining me. This was so fun. I've been wanting to do one with you for a while, but I was like, I want to wait till we're like kind of past the like we went through some pretty miserable month there for a while. It was rough. So I wanted to like get past on the other side. And so
I know. Thank you for sticking with me too, because there's definitely times you've extended yourself above and beyond what I'm sure what you signed up for.
Yeah, it's been so fun, and I keep rooting for you, and I know you're just killing it. So, all right, Mama, go out there and keep making some kimchi. Go and get into more stores and be a badass business owner and mom and surfer.
Thank you so much.
All the things. All right. Well, you and I will speak soon, but thank you so much for joining me.
Welcome.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Aloha.
Aloha. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. If I can help you with your packaged food dream, that is what I do. I help you get from idea to launch and to growth. And to be profitable, which is really, really important, right? I don't want you to start an expensive hobby. So go to foodbizsuccess.com. You can apply to work with me there, and go check out the podcast. Lots of great interviews, as well as just me talking about entrepreneurial mindset and doing hard things and celebrating your wins. So that's Food Business Success. And otherwise, have a great afternoon. I'll say aloha.